My name's Anthony Hayduk, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 GIST cancer. I don't even think I had 60 days left in me till I was dead. I was in pretty sad shape. My face was all white. Now I'm on my 14th month carnivore. First 3 months was beef, butter, bacon, eggs, super strict. Best I ever felt, by the way. I'm going to make cancer my bitch. And that's the attitude I've had. And honestly, with that attitude, it's why I'm still here. I feel better thriving with stage 4 GIST cancer than I have my whole entire life. Humans are the smartest creatures on the earth to make fake foods, but yet we're the dumbest creatures on earth to eat the shit we make.
Right.
It's like we make the fake food, but we're dumb enough to eat it.
I hope the biggest message we get out in terms of cancer is the prevention part of it. If you don't have it yet, you can decrease the odds of getting it if you make the right decisions.
And that's just it,
What advice do you have for someone, say a friend or family member that gets diagnosed with cancer?
Quick interruption. Did you know we have an incredible membership site for you called HealingHumanity.life? We have a special offer going on right now. Learn more at the link in the description. We have courses. We have expert Q&As with the good doctors. We even have a Healing Humanity Heroes Zoom call once a week, highlighting real heroes that will inspire you on a path to healing. The community is wonderful. We're going to be implementing a buddy system so you can be held accountable, recipes, all sorts of great stuff to help you on a path to healing. Learn more at the link in the description below.
Hello and welcome. Kerry here from Healing Humanity, the power of a proper human diet. And today I'm thankful, grateful, blessed to welcome my friend Anthony back to the channel. How's it going, Anthony?
Thanks, Kerry, for having me back.
Absolutely.
Well.
Awesome. Looking good. Man, you're representing more than me. You got the hat and the shirt on.
Yeah, I like the hat and shirt. And being honest, I need a haircut, so I got the hat on.
That's usually my go-to. I just got a haircut yesterday. Otherwise, I'd be wearing a hat right now. I get the haircut, and then it's no hat for a couple days, and then usually about 5 days later, the hat's back on for the rest of the month. So Anthony's been on the channel before. You got a really inspiring story. But for those that haven't heard your story, can you maybe give us a little bit of a recap? Your journey?
Well, first of all, my name's Anthony Hayduk. You can see it on the screen. And I was diagnosed middle to late 2022 with stage 4 GIST cancer. GIST stands for gastrointestinal stromal tumor. July of 2022, I went out of town did surgery. They cut me open. I lost we'll say a softball-sized tumor out of my intestines and stomach. I spent 9 days in the hospital, had physical therapy to learn how to walk again. Hopped on chemo treatment 2 months later when I found out the tumor was cancerous. Did 130 days of certain chemo treatment called sunitinib. I think I pronounced it properly. And during that regimen period, my cancer, or the cancer, words are powerful, it's not my cancer. During that 130 days of treatment period, the cancer got worse, multiplied, and spread throughout the liver further. And so since January 31st, 2023, I've been all natural, trying to understand how the human body works and my illness I deal with works. And here we are, flash forward to November, 18 months or so after treatment, maybe 19 months after treatment. And I'm doing better now than I was on treatment, and doing better before my cancer diagnosis even, which is amazing.
Wow. What was it like getting that diagnosis? I can't even imagine.
So going back to the day I got my diagnosis, it was on my 31st birthday. So September 9th, 2022 was my birthday. And I had a surgery about a month and a half prior to that where they removed a tumor. And I was told it was benign tumors. So when the cancer center called me and said, hey, let's go over your report, I'm like, what's to go over? It's already a benign tumor. We know that. And when I go down there, they're like, Mr. Hayduk, I'm sorry that there's been a misdiagnosis, but your tumor is cancerous and it's in your liver. The biopsies that we pulled off your liver matches up to what we pulled off your stomach as well. And so I hopped on treatment because at that point in time, I didn't know anything about cancer, how it worked, how it operated. I've already lost a few different family members, like my father in 2019 from a different type of cancer. And so I literally did whatever the doctors told me to do to win or try to win. And I learned quickly that the power is within ourselves, not the doctors. The doctors can't understand how you feel or how I feel on how we react to things, whether it's treatment or sickness or whatever. So back to the cancer diagnosis, on the day I was in the hospital, or not the hospital, but the cancer center, when the oncologist came up to me and told me about the cancer, initially I was heartbroken. I was like, my world's ending. I'm going to die. Just like, everybody else around me had passed away with cancer. But by the time I left that oncology appointment, I had in the back of my mind and back of my pocket that I was going to I told the oncologist and my mother, because she went with me to my appointment, that I'm going to live my life for me, and the cancer is going to go in the back pocket, and it's not going to control me. And it could either ride with me or it could fall behind, but it's not going to lead the way, so to speak. I've had the saying since day one. I'm going to cuss. If you want to blurt it out, you can. But the saying since day one is, I'm going to make cancer my bitch. And that's the attitude I've had. And honestly, with that attitude, it's why I'm still here, in my opinion. Don't be afraid to fail. You just got to learn why you failed and try a new approach.
Right. Wow. Did they tell you when you were diagnosed? Do you know why you got cancer? Is it a fluke? Is it genetic? Do they say anything?
So in my case with GIST, I have, all cancers have different mutations, all have different, properties, so to speak. But with GIST cancer, there's different types of mutations, one of which is called SDHA. That is a mutation that I have. And with the SDHA mutation, there is no known cure for that. And so there's actually no known treatment for that. And in my particular case, going through blood work, talking to family members, even tracing back to my great-grandmother, turns out my great-grandmother had GIST. So in my case, with my particular mutation, it runs in the family. I haven't had anybody else checked in the family. I don't have any kids or anything, so I can't check them. I can't really even check my grandma, because she's buried. I can't just dig her back up. But through all the stuff we have, my great grandmothers we're pretty certain I got it from. And then as also with cancer, whether it's GIST cancer or breast cancer or anything like that, is the mutations is what really drive and feed the cancer or not, depending on how they react to things. So that's why what could work for me, you and I could have the same exact cancer, different mutation. What'll work for me might not work for you because the mutation, will aggravate it. And that's the hardest part, being open-minded enough to try things, but also not get upset when what doesn't work for you or what works for you doesn't work for me. I'm like, well, what Carrie tried, I'm going to try it. I'm like, well, we're all slightly different. We're individuals,
Right.
That's the hardest part.
What led you to find Carnivore?
So what led me to go to Carnivore is when I quit chemotherapy treatment, the pills, in January of 23. How do I word this? When I quit chemo, I don't even think I had 60 days left in me till I was dead. I was in pretty sad shape. My face was all white. My hair was white. At the time, I just didn't have any energy. My muscles were deteriorating. And my childhood buddy from diaper days, he's like, Anthony, before you pass, I want you to fight naturally one more time and try, go to the gym, learn about nutrition, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as I gave myself 2 weeks off, the first 2 weeks of February, just relaxed, made a game plan, and I went to the local gym in end of February and got a membership. And I started different diets. The first one I did was plant-based because I'm like, plant-based, least amount of inflammation, cheap, blah, 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 nutrients. And in the world we live in, that's getting really well promoted. So I was like, let's hop on board, give it a shot. And I don't even think I made plant-based a full 3-month term, because I'd go, at the time I was doing scans every 3 months. So I think I made it 2 months on plant-based. And when I did blood work, my blood work was not any better from when it was on chemo. I'm like, well, it's been 2 months, my blood work should be better by this point, slightly. I didn't feel any better. I literally hated having to get up to go to the gym daily at that time, just because the energy levels weren't there. Eating sucked, and when I ate, I would feel tired afterwards, irritable. Now with what I know now about food, nutrition, and oxalates and all this other stuff, it makes sense. But back then, when I'd lay down, my legs would hurt and I'd have these like tingly feelings. That's all. It doesn't happen anymore, but that's something I was doing with my food, nutrition, eating. It was causing me, imbalances and harm, so to speak. So after plant-based, I did Mediterranean for a little while. Of course, I did standard American most of my life. Look what happened to me, and I got cancer. And then I went keto, I think it was July and August, or June, July, and August of 2023. And keto really slowed down the cancer growth a lot. And I started understanding what's the difference between keto and plant-based. Well, both have a low amount of carbs. And at that point in time, I think it was, I don't know, somewhere in June or July, in 2023, a friend of mine sent me a video of your friend and my friend, Jeff the Prosperous, and, stage 4 colon cancer, kicking ass on carnivore and treatment, and like doing everything, And when I seen Mr. the Prosperous doing what he was doing in his condition, just thriving, plus he's got a couple of years on me, I'm like, what's my excuse? Why am I scared to hop on carnivore? And at the time, red meat causes cancer. That was the whole thing shoved down my throat since day one. I'm a 90s baby, and we got the food pyramid change. So the grains were always number one. The red meat was like very little.
Yeah.
And so once I started following Jeff the Prosperous and understanding his story and how well he was not just living with his illness, but controlling it and thriving with it, I was like, what do I have to be scared of? I hopped on carnivore September 1st last year. Now I'm on my 14th month carnivore. First 3 months was beef, butter, bacon, eggs, super strict. Best I ever felt, by the way. I've leaned out a little bit. I'm not just beef, butter, bacon, and eggs anymore. I have a little bit of extra stuff here and there. But I noticed it. So with carnivore for the last 14 months, of course, the adaptation phase kind of sucked because my gut mechanics were all screwed up from chemo and all the other diets I did. Once I got through the adaptation phase, bloating's been gone. Exhaustedness, I don't get tired after I eat. I don't have to take a carb crash nap anymore. Energy levels were consistent all day long. Actually, energy is so consistent, half the time I have a hard time sleeping because I just have so much energy. I have to wind down and actually like meditate to go to bed half the time. And then even the gym performance, not to cut you off real quick, with the gym performance, when I was carb-based or plant-based, I was bringing food with me to the gym to eat to make it through my workouts. And now being carnivore-based, I could work out fasted. I mean, last month I did a 3-day fast and I went to the gym all 3 days. I mean, the first 2 days were strength training, but the third day was just cardio. But, with being fat-based and a healthy diet, you don't need to feed the fuel 24/7 because it's already in your body. You're absorbing it all versus wasting it.
Right. Do you feel better now than like you've ever felt in your life, or was there times in your life where you felt this good?
So as a whole, we'll say 90% of the time, because I mean, we're human, we have our bad days, but 90% of the time as a whole, right now at today's date, I feel better thriving with stage 4 breast cancer than I have my whole entire life. I could flash back to when I was a child, we'll say 8-10 years old is when I first recall having stomach problems, shitting problems, all the way through my teen years, bowel problems. I'd come home after school, I'd eat, I'd take a nap, I'd get sick. It was just constant. I used to be into sports, not so much like football and baseball, but like motorized sports, bicycles, dirt bike, stuff like that. And as my teen years progressed, even though I loved to ride, I would ride less and less and less because I felt worse and worse and worse when I ate. So eventually it got to the point when I would go ride my bike at the skate park or the local dirt trails, I wouldn't even eat. I'd just go in a fasted state to ride, and then I'd pig out afterwards and feel like crap afterwards because, the food was poisoning me and I didn't realize it. So it's a pretty amazing having stage 4 cancer and feeling better than I have my whole life as a whole, and with blood work overall matching that. I had a local oncologist appointment a couple of days ago, and with the local ones, I could get into more details, I have a longer appointments, and we were looking at my liver functions for the last 10 years, from the time I was 23 years old to 33 years old. And through blood work, through liver functions, my liver is now working better than it was 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I didn't even have the cancer in the liver. And that's where the cancer's at now. It's in my liver. So how's my liver working so well with the cancer in it, It's it really goes to show the power of proper nutrition.
Right. That's incredible. So in terms of like your cancer, how have things been going with that? Just doing carnivore.
So with carnivore, with carnivore, I've been able to control, my body's been able to control the disease, and I've had a lot of tumor shrink. I still have the tumors in my liver, but from the most recent scan we did a couple of days ago or last week, we compared that to the scan I did in May of 2022, which was before my surgery. And from today's standpoint, the tumors that are there, that are left, the ones that we didn't cut away, the tumors that are left are now the same size as they were back in the beginning before we poked the bear with surgery and chemo. So basically, in my mind, as my local oncologist agrees, that now I've been able to reverse all the damages done from chemotherapy, or from the heart shapes. I mean, the doctor won't tell me chemo harmed me, but I could see it through the proof of everything, and I could also tell how I felt through it all. So here we are. I'm feeling amazing. My liver's doing well. Cancer's in the liver, but yet I'm the best I've been in my whole life. It's absolutely crazy to me.
That's great news, man. The liver, so much of our health is centered around the liver. The fact that you're doing so well there is great. I got a couple things. On our buddy Jeff DeProsperous, this is some encouraging news maybe, but his wife and boys and his best friend Dwight, who's become a good friend of mine, they're actually heading their way down here to Wisconsin. They're going to come stay at my place for a couple days.
Nice.
Yeah, so sad that we lost Jeff. I've been in close contact with his wife and boys, and I said, if you ever just need to get away, we got a little Airbnb, like 2-family on our property, so we'd love to have you. And she took me up on it, so I'm really excited to hang out with the boys a little bit. I'm in the basement of the movie theater, so I'm gonna bring the boys to the movie theater and like let them play video games on the big screen. So give them a little distraction for a while. It's not much you can really say in that situation, but I'm looking forward to seeing them all and give them some good steaks too. So I'm gonna cook up.
The only thing you can do in that type of a situation is be one with the family, and dude, you're part of the family. So it's like you're doing more than anybody else could, and I know they appreciate that, and they will appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I got 4 girls, so I've never had any boys myself, so it's kind of fun to. I was saying to my wife, I'm like, we got some fireworks, and we got some. She's like, be careful now. We don't want any injuries while they're out here visiting. So,
yeah, you want them to come back next time.
Right. We don't want to lose any fingers or anything. We blow them off with some fireworks. But what, I guess on a more serious note, one of my questions was going to be, what advice would you give to someone? I just heard this stat, Anthony. This is crazy. So 1 in 2 individuals is going to be diagnosed with cancer from this point going forward. which is insane considering I don't know, is it trillions of dollars spent on cancer prevention, cancer research? Like the amount of money spent there's insane. 1 in 2 people are still going to be getting cancer. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but my question was going to be, what advice do you have for someone, say a friend or family member that gets diagnosed with cancer?
Well, first of all, I'll go off on my advice of what it would be like if you get diagnosed with it. Then we'll go back to the tangent of, the 1 and 2 people getting diagnosed, because I have some definitely answers about that or some opinions on that. But anybody that gets a cancer diagnosis, cancer diagnosis is mainly what we're talking about, but any diagnosis for that matter that could be life-changing, think about it, but don't let it control you. Make a T-chart, weigh out the odds. If you have different types of treatments or surgeries or options, make a list, weigh it out. Being honest, I did surgery. I didn't even think about it. I was like, hey, I want the tumor out of me. I want to, the pain to be gone. And knowing the information I have now, I regret surgery. I wish I would have opted out of surgery and just went carnivore, certain supplements, exercising, the metabolic approach, and to see if I could shrink the tumor versus losing, a quarter of my stomach and intestines with the tumor. Wasn't a pleasant way to lose weight, mind you, the surgery.
Right. I've heard that from a couple of people too, by the way, the surgery and having regrets about doing it, which isn't to say, like, it's like you said, everyone's different and they got to take their own situation. But it's interesting you mentioned that, because I've heard several people say that the trauma of surgery and all of that is something that maybe they had second thoughts about afterwards.
Quick interruption. Did you know we have an incredible membership site for you called HealingHumanity.life? We have a special offer going on right now. Learn more at the link in the description. We have courses. We have expert Q&As with the good doctors. We even have a Healing Humanity Heroes Zoom call once a week, highlighting real heroes that will inspire you on a path to healing. The community is wonderful. We're going to be implementing a buddy system so you can be held accountable, recipes, all sorts of great stuff to help you on a path to healing. Learn more at the link in the description below.
Yeah, and mind you, I've had 12 surgeries in my life, so surgery is not a new thing to me. But with what I know now with nutrition in the body, the whole 9 yards, 3 of the surgeries I've had have been regretful. One was the gallbladder surgery. I had my gallbladder removed because of gallstones. Well, I had gallstones because I wasn't having enough fat in the diet. The doctors didn't tell you that, but whatever. Of course, The surgery I just talked about. But back to the diagnosis is, don't let it control you. Weigh out your odds. Figure out what best fits you and your mindset, your financial situation. With my surgery, I was supposed to be off work for 3 months. I'm on my 2nd year off from work. I'm physically to the point where I could probably go back to a lighter style job now, but going back to tree work like I did, I don't think I have it in me to do 40, 50 hours a week of tree work, climbing trees, the whole 9 yards with my conditions. We'll get there one of these days, but literally just do your homework, understand the different approaches of different treatments, options. Some of them are natural, some of them are surgical. You need to get your mind right. I will state that if you have a negative mindset, you might as well just not even try, because if you're negative, you're not going to make it anywhere. You have to believe in the system, believe in yourself, believe in the process. I don't remember what animal it is. It might be an antelope, but this particular animal could jump like a 6-foot or 8-foot fence and leap 4 or 5 feet forward, but it could be contained behind a 4-foot fence because it can't see over the other side. They could jump twice the height and they could jump the distance, but it can't see what's on the other side, so it won't make the leap. Well, a lot of us have that mentality that we're too scared to take the leap because we don't know what's on the other side, versus having the faith and believing and going for it. So like with me, for example, I recently started going to church even, and that's been a blessing for me, just getting the weight off my shoulders, realizing I'm not doing this on my own anymore. I have, the upper power with me now. I have other people I've met throughout my journey, You're not in this alone. you could bury yourself in it alone, by hibernating and being depressed and, just closed off. But the more you do that, the harder it's going to become. You need to find your family of people and open up and be vulnerable. It's hard, but it's the best thing you could do.
Right. That's really good advice. That's one thing I've learned, which I never knew, that kind of blew my mind. There's actually science behind what you're saying. They always say like having a positive mindset's important and all that. And I'm always like, yeah, whatever. But when you're stressed and anxious, you're actually releasing cortisol, which converts to glucose, which could then feed and perpetuate the cancer even worse. So just the simple act of worrying, which is got to be incredibly hard. Like I can't even imagine going through what you're going through, and Jeff. So it's easy to say, oh, just don't worry about it. But I think some of your tips and advice are great. Church and community and talking to people and not putting it all on your own shoulders. And yeah, anything you can do. I think like being carnivore too, I attribute too much to carnivore, but it feels like us carnivores, we're more sort of zen and chill. And we don't have all those sugar up and downs, that we're a little bit more relaxed, and we don't have the brain fog. So maybe we can think about those things a little bit more. But
well, carnivore has been a game changer on the way, I think, too. I used to battle myself on my thought process when I was carb-based, plant-based, whatever. And since I've been carnivore-based, 95% of the time, I'm not having to battle myself. I'm just always in a good mood, and I'm thankful. I mean, there's times I vent, we all do, but most time I'm grateful. I'm happy. My thinking's amazing. I don't ever think negative half the time. Very, very seldom. It's almost like a challenge or a job to think negatively anymore. It's like it's hard to.
That's awesome.
And that goes back to the inflammation in the brain. It's gone. I'm not feeding pure sugar.
I love that you said the word grateful, because I've interviewed so many carnivores now, and they all use that. They're more grateful now afterwards. And it's like, those are the coolest people. Like, do you want to hang around someone that's negative and depressed, or someone that's grateful and happy? It's like, those are the coolest people to hang around.
Yeah.
And don't you feel like this, Anthony? It's like everybody in the world would be grateful if they weren't poisoning themselves and didn't have that inflammation, and they weren't eating all that stuff that they shouldn't be eating, kind of thing. It's really sad realizing that a lot of people will go their entire lives being negative and being down and being in that brain fog, kind of that stupor, because of the foods they're eating.
And it's sad. It goes back to what you stated a few minutes ago about 1 in 2 people getting diagnosed with cancer. And it goes back to our food and our lifestyles, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a doctor or nothing. I haven't been to college to get all these degrees. But from what I've understood and what I've studied is our lifestyle and our nutrition really can play out how our life is and how our health is. I changed my mindset. I changed my lifestyle. I wasn't a bad person prior to. I always put others first, and was a nice person. But I really now am just vulnerable all the time. I talk to anybody about good stuff and bad stuff. It's not easy talking about the bad stuff. You have to. But just being grateful, being open and honest, it led me to meet you. It led me to meet Jeff. It led me to help others. I actually had a friend, Lisa. She's on her 4th or 5th month of carnivore base. She was vegan prior to. She's got the same cancer I have, different mutation. And she was pretty frail and smaller when she was vegan-based, plant-based, and now she's on her 4th month of carnivore, and she's 25 pounds heavier than she was, and most of it's muscle. She's put on size, she looks good, and her cancer is stable. And then it's just like anybody has the power to find this within themselves, but you have to put the proper fuel source into your body to be able to think clear, and understand stuff.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not a doctor either. I barely graduated high school. I've been learning more and more every day. I'm like learning like crazy stuff too. Like I think I got it figured out, and then there's just more stuff coming out. But I really believe like most of the cancers, not all of them, but I believe most of the cancers people are getting are kind of, I think what you're saying, it's just people escaping from what is natural for humans, mainly through the foods we're eating and the everyday activities we're doing, but mainly through the foods we're eating. We're eating crazy things, and everyone's like, well, it's just fine. It's just normal. And then you look at 1 in 2 people are getting cancer, and that's normal. That just seems crazy to me. Like, people's minds should be blown. And it's not just cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, like all of these things are rampant right now.
So one of the reasons why all that's, going through the roof, all these illnesses and diseases and problems, I seen a saying a couple of days ago, and I'm sure you'll love this, and I'm sure you'll repeat it, is humans are the smartest creatures on the earth to make fake foods, but yet we're the dumbest creatures on earth to eat the shit we make.
Right.
It's like, we make the fake food, but we're dumb enough to eat it. It's like, but you take that fake food and put it out in the wildlife, they won't even touch it. Even fake butter, you put it on a sidewalk, ants won't touch it.
Biggest millions of species on the planet, the biggest brains, apex predators, and we're so stupid. Like, what are we doing? Just eating this, and it's garbage too. Like, so much of the stuff, people that advocate, oh, you got to eat more plants, you got to eat this. It's like slop for farm animals. It's like the rich people used to eat the meat and it'd be like, okay, if you're starving to death, I guess you could eat some of this stuff. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
It's to me, I mean, don't hold me to it 100%, but to me, it's kind of an ego and entitlement thing. It's like somebody, oh, I invented this. Now we need to figure out how to make it good for everybody to eat, just to show that I made something, kind of like the industrial seed oils. If I recall the study properly, all that was designed for the war, and after the war, what did they do with all the oil? Oh, we got extra. Let's just remanufacture it and sell it to the humans. And that was initially designed for the machineries.
Feed it to children and babies in baby formula. It's crazy.
And that's why, our nation is obese as a whole and sick as a whole, because we're putting, like you stated, non-natural ingredients into our body. And even though our brains have been smart enough we could make it, our bodies can't adapt that quick. It takes thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of years for our bodies to adapt to stuff, through evolution. Seed oils weren't found in the wild, so of course our bodies aren't going to adapt to it easily.
And we do this thing as humans too, where we're constantly trying to outsmart Mother Nature. And I can't think of one thing that we've done as humans where we've successfully outmaneuvered Mother Nature and come out ahead. It's like all of this stuff too, all these medications, none of them worked. They worked to make people money, but they didn't get us any healthier. They just got me sicker and sicker, kind of thing. So much of what we're doing is just craziness. That was my big epiphany on carnivore after a while too. I'm like, I'm not getting all of these health benefits and everything just because I'm eating meat. It's just I'm going back to what was natural for humans. Like, this is the most natural I can eat given all of the crazy options we have right now. The most natural thing you can do is eat meat, beef, butter, bacon, eggs.
Yeah. Well, dogs, for example, they're getting cancer and diabetes now. Well, in my opinion, it's only common sense, because we'll say the vast majority of us feed our animals or our dogs kibble, dry food. You don't find that out in the wild. It's like a dog wants a meat. A dog wants to chase something. A dog wants nutrition, not dried up grains.
The fact that I've got a family member who has a dog. I love dogs. My wife and I have 2 dogs, love animals, and their dog is diabetic. And they actually, I never heard of this. Like, they actually have to give it insulin like a human. Like, you're giving
my uncle's got one of those.
What is I'm like, just feed it meat. What are you doing? Give it meat. Our dogs are carnivore now, and they're absolutely thriving. I've talked about this on my channel before, but they're thriving. Like, my dog was arthritic and he was like asthmatic. Like, he was always wheezing for air. He's running around like a puppy right now. His coat's all shiny. People will say to me, Anthony, they're like, you feed him raw meat? What are you doing? I'm like, what would a dog do in the wild? Catch a squirrel and cook it over a fire? And what are we even talking about? It's raw meat.
I love you brought up that, though. I love you brought that up, because it's been a challenge. I got my parents to help me adapt our dogs to carnivore now, versus kibble shit. My parents' dog there was a couple times we almost put her down because her leg was that bad, couldn't hardly move. Just we had to put her in a blanket sometimes to pack her up the stairs. And we're probably 6 or 7 months now into carnivore base for the dogs, just beef and eggs in the morning, and same thing at night. And like you said, the dogs' coats are looking better. Their fur, when they molt their fur, I mean, it still molts, they shed, but it's not all clumpy like it used to be. It comes out easy. My parents' dog that has the leg issue, hip issue, she could run and go up the stairs now. I mean, it's not like perfect, but she's doing it. She used to have to get packed up the stairs. Now she can go up the stairs on her own. Both dogs are losing weight. Both were kind of over obese in the first place, but they're not wheezing anymore. It's like, if you notice your dog could change, why can't we even? So many of us don't believe in ourselves, that we don't have the potential to do something, and we all have the power. We just have to believe in ourselves and try. Give yourself 30 days with this diet. You don't have to stick on it, but give yourself a 30 days of elimination diet and see how you feel. Implement a couple of new food groups if you want to. But after that 30 days, guaranteed, you're going to notice something that you never noticed before. You're going to feel different. You're going to think different. I have not yet had anybody that I know that's hopped on carnivore who regret it.
Yeah. I had someone comment the other day, and they were like, I thought they were kind of, I don't know if they were serious about the question, but they said, has anyone ever tried this and not had success? And I'm like, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Like, everyone that does it has this, whoa, this is crazy. This is nuts. Especially in this day and age where everything is just so unnatural and it's normalized that it's unnatural. It's like, just getting away from that is huge. But what's it like for you, Anthony? You're inspiring people now. You're putting your story out there. You're on social media. We'll put links in the description below for all of Anthony's social media too. But you just mentioned the woman that's on carnivore for a couple months now, gained 20 pounds of muscle. What's that like for you when people are like, dude, this is changing my life because you inspired me? How does that make you feel?
So initially, of course, when I first put myself on interwebs, I was like, why am I doing this? I'm nervous. I don't want people to know everything going on. But at the same time, I knew so many people. I didn't want to spend 24/7 texting everybody. So I'll just publicize my life, and it is what it is. I'll take the good and bad with it. But through the journey, as I've been able to help others, like my friend Lisa, now she's 20-something pounds heavier, and it's all solid muscle. She looks good. I mean, but it makes me feel good. It makes me feel amazing that I made it through the hardships to feel how I do now and where I'm at, so I could help somebody else. And even if I didn't make it to where I'm at now, the fact that somebody listened to something I had to say and it affected them for the better, it makes the whole journey worthwhile, man. It's like, I'm not going anywhere, but if I died tomorrow, I'd be happy because of the people I touched in the process. The imprint I've left behind, I'd leave behind, has been worthwhile to me. But of course, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm going to live as long as I can, make a bigger imprint. But
absolutely,
it's absolutely amazing. It's like a car versus, gasoline versus diesel. You put a gasoline in a diesel truck, it ain't going to run, or vice versa. Our bodies are the same way. You got to find the proper fuel source, and so many of us, we'll say 3/4 of America at least, probably puts in the wrong fuel source, and that's why we have problems and we don't understand it.
Right. Yeah, man, your thing's so inspiring. I don't want to start crying and get us all sad, but talking about our good friend Jeff, I was so blessed to see him the day before he passed, and I was talking to him, and I was actually showing him some video clips, some stuff from the documentary and stuff we're working on, but one of the clips was you, and talking about how you found carnivore through Jeff's video. I think it was Jeff's video with Dr. Chafee.
Yeah.
I just said to Jeff, I'm like, man, buddy, I don't know if you realize this, but look at this ripple effect, because you inspired Anthony. Now you're on social media, you're inspiring people. Those people, like your friend Lisa, she's inspiring people. Like, it's crazy that ripple
He's the
effect.
gateway opener in my mind.
Yeah.
Jeff is the gateway opener for sure. We got make him proud. I actually just started a new group with my friend Lisa. It's called the Metabolic Warriors, living a prosperous life through fitness, faith, food, and fitness, faith, food, and something else. There's 4 F's anyways, but we just started it and we just did our first video. I uploaded it yesterday. So, and it's all thanks to Jeff, Jeff getting a story out there. Somebody sent it to me and I'm like, look at this guy, brave. He's doing things that are, not supposed to be done, so to speak, in the conditions he's in. And look where it's led me. Look, like you said, the ripple effect. It's absolutely amazing with one person's bravery where it could lead, in my mind, he's going to change the way cancer is.
I believe so too. The documentary, I can't wait to share just for his part in it. Like, it was so powerful. A lot of that we can't share because it's got to be unique for the documentary, but his big thing that just blew my mind was when he looked in the camera and said, I believe I caused my cancer. And it's like, this is a cautionary tale. It pisses me off, Anthony, because I'll get people that family members are like, I don't need to do carnivore. I like my junk food too much. And I'm like, okay, well, when you're those 1 in 2 people that ends up with cancer, you can't complain or say anything about it. Like, I think there's people that don't realize that, but that was a big part of Jeff's message when we filmed him too. It's like a cautionary tale. Like, be careful. He believes he causes cancer from food and his lifestyle and things that he was doing. And I think that's a reason for a lot of cancers out there in the world. I think a lot of people don't realize that because our system, like when you get cancer, most people, it's like, we don't know. That's what they told Jeff. We don't know. It's just a fluke. Like, and then people are like, oh, it's just me. There's something wrong with me. And then they continue eating that food and perpetuating it. It's just crazy. That's going to be, I hope, the biggest message we get out in terms of cancer is the prevention part of it. If you don't have it yet, you can decrease the odds of getting it if you make the right decisions.
And that's just it, there's a few of us that are unlucky. We're born with an illness or a disease, and I feel sorry for the ones that are born that way. You're stuck with a more challenging life than most of us off the get-go. But the vast majority of us aren't born with anything. It's genetics, but the genetics is all bullshit that our parents fed us, or that they put them that they put in their own systems that inherited to us. Versus if they ate properly, we wouldn't inherit the bad gene, so to speak. And that's no disrespect to the parents; they don't know any different. We're learning this. I'm not trying to blame anybody, but from a biological standpoint, my understanding is that if you feed yourself properly your whole life and you have a child, that child has no reason to come out unhealthy. And it's what you do through your life from being born till 80 years old, what either makes or breaks your life, either adds years to your life or takes away from it. I think Dr. Shafee said, aren't we designed from a biological standpoint to make it 120 years or 110 years, something like that? And if you look into America right now, the saddest part, look into America, our life expectancy now is actually shorter than it was 20 years ago. How did our life expectancy go from longer to shorter? The food, right? It's common, but it's like, and the worst part is all of us have this information at the fingertips on Google. Just have to go down the rabbit holes and do some research. And it's a lot easier to put blinders on and take a pill to get skinny versus it is to eat properly.
Right. That statement you said, I think, should be like front page news. Everyone should be like, this is crazy. We're dying. I think 72 or something, average life expectancy now. Like you said, it's going in the wrong direction despite don't we have the best technology in healthcare ever for all the medicine? That's what they tell us anyways, right? But 72, and the people that make it to 72, they're suffering to 72 with mobility issues and arthritis, and it's crazy. Dr. Chafee says 120. We should be living to be 120 and thriving like into our 100s. The fact that the majority of humanity is dying at 72 after suffering. After these people work their whole lives, they go to retire and then they're done. They're like, that's it. It's crazy. Like, everybody should be pissed off about that. That's just, it's nuts. All of the science supports that too. We interviewed that woman, Maggie, Rancher Maggie. She's been
eating carnivore. She's impressive.
65 years she's been eating carnivore. She's in her 80s. And I said that to her. I'm like, when are you going to slow down? And she's like, slow down. I'm like, I'm just getting started. She's like, this is middle-aged for me. She literally said that. And she said, people can laugh at me if they want, but I truly believe I will live to be 120. I have no doubt. Like, I would bet every penny in the bank she will do that. Just seeing her at 83 and her energy. And by the way, all of the people in a documentary, we filmed 32 people. They all had some sort of sickness. A lot of them had depression, anxiety, brain fog, but they've been sick with this, sick with that, stomach issues. Nothing. This woman's 83 years old. She's like never been sick. Nothing. And sharp as a tack. It's like, that's the one that as I get down this carnivore journey more, that really gets me. It's like everybody should be mad about that. The other one that gets me is the children. It's like this next generation of children. We're getting them addicted to sugars and putting seed oils in their formula, poisoning children from a young age.
Basically making little drug addicts.
Yeah.
In my mind. If you actually do the research on it, sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. And look at our food. You know, cocaine is an illegal substance. It's a drug because of the addiction properties in it. But yet sugar is legal to be on our food. And as much as we have, I was at my uncle's house a couple of days ago, and my cousin had a Pepsi or Dr. Pepper bottle on the counter, a 20-ounce bottle. That one 20-ounce bottle had 110% of his daily sugar intake. I'm like, that one bottle has a day, more than a day's sugar intake, and you don't even need sugar.
It's crazy.
No wonder why your stomach hurts, dude.
Right. And then we get them hooked. It's just like the cigarette industry used to be trying to advertise cigarettes to kids. They had candy cigarettes, and now it's cartoon characters. It's on cereal boxes. You turn on Sesame Street. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and you get them hooked early. It's so crazy with the kids too, because I see it with my girls are all doing carnivore now. My one daughter's more keto, and they're thriving. But I see their friends, their peers. They're all coming out of Starbucks, and it's just pure liquid sugar mainlined into the system. Like
ADHD
I'm like,
all over again.
Yeah. Those ADHD and stuff like that too. It's like these kids. The kid's got terrible twos. You hop the kid up on sugar, and now you're mad that he can't fall asleep or that he's got more energy. It's like you're putting drugs in these kids, and then you blame them because they're misbehaving. It's crazy. I really think if we don't change this, history is going to look back on us and be like, what the hell were we doing? Like kids, the most vulnerable in our society. Let's get them hooked on this stuff. Just so the thing that really gets me is there's people. I don't think it's a conspiracy. Like it's this one evil guy, but big food, there's people in big food whose wallets are getting thicker and thicker as our kids are getting sick. And we're okay with that. Like, what the heck, man? That's just crazy.
It's really sad. Back to the cigarette industry and the food companies. With the research I've done, once cigarettes started going out the window and they were getting more controlled, and smoking causes cancer, blah blah blah. Was it back in the 80s? I think it was mid 80s, give or take. The vast majority of those cigarette scientists went to the food industry to make food addictive. And that's why, example, Pringles. Pringles aren't chips. They can't even call them chips. And why do you think they have the slogan, you can't just have one? Because they're so freaking addictive with the chemicals. Once you have that one, you automatically want a second one. But like with a bite of steak, if I'm hungry, I'll eat a bite of steak, but I can put it down and walk away from it. You know, so it's like, what are they putting in the food that causes us not to be able to walk away? Chick-fil-A, for example, years ago, they had I don't know what it was, but they're lining up like an hour before the restaurant would open. And why is their chicken so darn good? Well, it's all the chemicals. There's like 50-something ingredients or 40-something ingredients in a chicken patty. It's like, there's no way. It should be just chicken.
Well, it's a piece of chicken. Like, why is there 50 ingredients on the list? It's
quite sad.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's discouraging for people too that have had weight issues like myself that yo-yoed for so many years. And so anyone watching this is what I always encourage people with. I'm like, if you're doing this for obesity reasons, You're addicted. You are addicted to the standard American diet. I never knew that. I'm like, I'm just eating food. Like what? And then I would try to moderate it, and I would eat like some salad or whatever. I'd lose some weight, and then I'd go back to moderation. And what am I moderating? Carbohydrates. I'm moderating my addiction. It's just like, if I quit alcohol, I wouldn't go back and have a little bit of beer every now and then. I'm like, either no beer, I'm done. Like I overcame alcoholism. I'm not going to go back and have a little bit of beer. But that's the thing that you just said, though. It's like when you go carnivore and you eat that fatty steak, you're full. It's natural. It's like every species of animal on this planet. There's no other species of animal that eats a meal. And it's like, oh my God, I'm starving again. I got to eat something. I'm jonesing for more food. It's just humans because we're eating the wrong things that we shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, which screws with our chemical imbalance, which causes us to either have hunger signals or not. Or it's like, even if we're not hungry, like most of us, when our tummy growls, oh, we're hungry. That's not a hunger signal. That's just your stomach digesting stuff. It's moving things around. I mean, there's more scientificness behind it than that, but we're not going into the details. But it's like, even with me, I've had heart problems since I was 18 years old, off and on, afibrillation, irregular heartbeats throughout my life, depending on my dietary, depending on how bad the heart problem was. And I didn't realize that until I went carnivore based. Since I've been carnivore based since September of last year, no heart problems at all. So I'm on my 14th month, no AFib, no irregular heartbeats, no seizure activity. So that tells me there's something I was eating either in carbohydrates or in plants that was setting off a chemical imbalance or a reaction to cause me to have seizures and heart problems. And then now diving into the research of it, if you actually go to the bigger epileptic centers of America, people that deal with epileptic seizures go on a keto or carnivore style diet to control it. Yeah. But the vast majority of us don't understand that or know that.
Yeah. And that one's crazy too. Keto has been used to treat seizures for a long time. It's perfectly safe, but yeah, nobody knows about it.
Yeah, that's what it makes no sense. And if the medical field's open enough minded to understand that keto makes a difference for seizures, why can't they be open minded enough for keto or carnivore to control cancer or help with cancer? Like, even to bring up Jeff again, he was on treatment and carnivore, but the only reason why he was able to do treatment so well is because of his carnivoreness. It put his body in a state of ketosis. He could handle that screwed up poison that they were shoving down him. Yeah. Because in a state of ketosis, it protects your healthy cells and lets your bad cells be vulnerable. And I mean, they didn't even tell me this when I did treatment. Like, no, just hop on treatment, eat whatever. Nutrition is nutrition. I mean, I was diarrhea constantly, losing weight. I think the lowest I got was 150 pounds, which was pretty low for me at 5'9". I weigh about 180 now, which is nice. So yeah, I put on, actually, since we're talking about the gym stuff earlier, I started the gym February of 2023. I did my first body scan March 3rd, 2023. I was 167 pounds at that point in time. And at 14% body fat. Flash forward now to October 15th. I am now 179 pounds. So what's that? I put on 12 pounds and I put on another 2% body fat, which is amazing because I put on body fat being carnivore based. Initially, I lost body fat through the adaptation phase, of course. But once I learned the ratio to fat to protein, it's like I'm comfortable at 15, 16% when I was sick. Right. So people are like, oh, carnivore is just for weight loss. No, it's a weight gain or a weight loss depending on your metabolic health and where your body should be at.
Right. Yeah. Brings us back to natural, where we should be. Yeah, that's the thing that drives me nuts with people on carnivore. People will say, oh, I don't need to lose weight. And I'm like, it's about so much more than a diet to lose a couple pounds. Like, it just changes everything. Hopefully we get the word out more with the documentary. We got some pretty inspiring stories we're going to be sharing in there. But I can't believe we've been talking for like an hour already. This is crazy. Anthony, could you
sneaks up quick?
Right? Where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you're doing?
So for now, my Facebook and my Instagram is just my name, Anthony Hayduk.
Quick interruption. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about our documentary, Healing Humanity, The Power of a Proper Human Diet, or supporting it, please visit donate.healinghumanity.movie. Our goal is to reach millions of people that are hopeless right now and sharing the examples of real people over the course of 1 year that are undertaking a proper human diet to overcome obesity, type 2 diabetes, depression, anxiety, fertility issues. We couldn't do it without you. We thank you so much. We are also selling these shirts, Healing Humanity, The Power of a Proper Human Diet. Every penny we get from those goes towards the documentary. And last, we have memberships. If you click the little join button, it's best to do it on desktop. Under any one of my YouTube videos, you can join and become a member. We have hundreds of members right now. We do members only videos. We do members only behind the scenes. You can email me as a member and I'll answer you. And every penny from that goes to support the documentary. And the last thing is we have these Redmond's portable salt shakers. These things are awesome. You can get the best salt. You can take it with you. We sell these on the website along with our water bottles and cutting boards, and every penny from all of those goes 100% towards supporting the documentary. You can also sign up for our newsletter, which is completely free. All of these links are in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to today's video.
I do have TikTok and I also have YouTube. Both of those are Making Cancer My Bitch. TikTok does not allow the H, YouTube does, and so there is a spelling difference between the two. Eventually I'll figure out how to bypass that, but for now, that's what it is. And I'm open for anybody getting a hold of me. I'm going to be honest, I can't respond instantly. You know, there's a lot of people that sent when I tell people to get a hold of me, people take it seriously and people get a hold of me. So be patient. I will respond eventually. It might take me a day, it might take me a week, it might take me a month, but I will respond when I can.
Thank you so much for doing this again, Anthony. I really appreciate it. You know, you always got an open invite. We got to do another one, do a live stream or something. But I really appreciate your story. It's really inspiring, and I'm glad you're doing so well.
As soon as my cold plunge is done, we'll do a cold video together.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. I'm in.
I'm actually heading to Grandpa's house today to go work on more of it. I had a complication. That's why it's not done yet, but we're trying to fix it.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. Have a good day.
Pleasure.